Video games and extraterrestrial annihilation. Two things that go together like peanut butter and jelly. And if you're looking for a sophisticated take on fighting back against evil aliens, your best course of action would be the XCOM series. Admittedly, I am awful at the DOS games, though I do play a lot of the reboot series by Firaxis, and I'm... competent at them? Yeah, let's go with that. I've heard Enemy Unknown and Apocalypse of the Microprose era are great, but obviously not every entry in a franchise can be a bona fide hit, such as today's subject, XCOM Enforcer, released in 2001 to mixed reviews at best. This was the last XCOM game to be made before Firaxis threw their hat into the ring. Hell, by the time Enforcer was in production, the publisher, Hasbro Interactive, had already canned two other projects due to major financial difficulties, those being Alliance, which was a first-person shooter, and Genesis, which was to be a remake of the original game. So they essentially scraped together whatever assets were left of those and smushed them together into Enforcer. So without further ado, let's begin.
If only I had a little while longer. There's no sense in worrying about that now.
Oh boy, he's gonna have that lisp all the time, isn't he?
I'll do it. Enforcer? Enforcer?
Yeah, he is. I'm sure that won't get annoying. This is Professor Abel Standard, yes, really, and he's the creator of the Enforcer, our player character. Something I should point out is that Mr. Standard is not affiliated with XCOM. Not anymore anyways. According to the lore provided in the manual, the governments of the world were providing funding for this Enforcer project. However, as the invasion worsened, they had to scale back significantly. However, Mr. Standard kept on going regardless from a private lab. So I guess that means all this tech may be stolen from XCOM then? If it's not, then this project must not have needed all that much funding, considering Enforcer is a literal one-bot army.
Oh, there they are, Enforcer. Purge my lab of those insidious invaders.
Well, I don't see him doing anything wrong. He's just kinda, okay, he's shooting at me, never mind.
Looked like it hurt. Collect data points from the aliens you exterminate to further my research and upgrade your arsenal.
Okay, thanks, Doc. I'll just grab this and...
Weapon Enforcer, go pick it up. Throughout missions, I'll try to keep you stocked with my latest and greatest alien-destroying devices.
Okay, yep. Thanks again, I'll just...
Take caution, however.
Are you gonna talk my ear off or are you gonna let me shoot shit? Most of the game revolves around killing aliens, disabling the transporters, and occasionally rescuing people. On the topic of these transporters, I seriously question the usefulness of these things. I mean, they do spawn a good number of enemies, but they don't seem to have any shielding on them, so a sniper could probably just pick them off from a distance. Not to mention, these things don't seem to be all that necessary, as multiple levels will just have aliens spawn everywhere without the need for them. Like here, I'm getting swarmed by enemies and there's not a single transporter on this boat. As for the baddies themselves, we have all the XCOM favorites. We have sectoids, snake men, cyberdiscs, chrysalids, mutons, alien dogs, monsters that look like the Grovebacks from Wayne Barlow's Expedition, and Langoliers on legs. But how do you fight back against these hordes? With a massive assortment of weapons, of course. Your default weapon is the laser rifle. It has unlimited ammo and does alright damage. The blade launcher fires razor-sharp shuriken-like blades, and it's fine once you upgrade it. The shotgun is great. It's a quad-barrel monster that can one-shot most of the smaller enemies. The freeze gun is pretty weak. It has low damage even when fully upgraded. The mass driver is a sniper rifle which does great damage, but its firing sound is pretty weak. Like, listen. Yep, that sounds like a heavy-duty Gauss cannon, right? The fusion rifle is a machine gun that fires purple projectiles that bounce off walls when upgraded and does good damage and also has a high rate of fire. The lightning gun can chain across multiple enemies and is very useful for crowd control. The vibroblade, which sounds like a masochistic sex toy in Cyberpunk, is basically a chainsaw. Not much to say, it carves through everything. The grenade launcher can spit out hundreds of grenades that lay waste to everything. The rocket launcher is a rocket launcher. Works well, especially when upgraded. The side cannon works a lot like the mass driver, except it explodes when it hits a solid wall. It kicks ass. And finally, the nuker. It's a nuke. It is the perfect FU weapon. Killing enemies makes them drop data points. You use those to either unlock weapons and abilities, or you can upgrade them. For example, upgrading Professor's Choice to level 2 not only gives you extra health, but can also upgrade your laser rifle into the autocannon. It's basically a minigun and it does a lot more damage, which is funny considering it seems to shoot regular bullets. You'd think blazing hot lasers would hit a bit harder than those, but what do I know? The game definitely seems to incentivize having a more focused selection of weapons, like it's trying to be tactical and strategic. Yeah, this game is as mindless a shooter as one could be, so it's adorable that it's trying. Another thing to note is that weapons spawn all the time, so more than likely in the heat of the moment, you'll accidentally grab one that you might not want because you can only hold a single weapon at a time. So let me get this straight. Dr. Standard can develop a hyper-lethal robot that can slaughter literal thousands of aliens all by itself and create instant teleportation for all of these weapons he invented to spawn and get his robot into the action, possibly reverse engineered by the alien's tech itself, but couldn't make something like a backpack or a holster for his war machine. I would go through each mission individually, but they all mostly blend together into a formless mass, so I'm only bringing up missions that have significant differences. Throughout them, you'll also find bonuses in the form of letters that spell bonus and question marks that unlock new items. These bonus levels range from destroying boxes, collecting data points while the floor falls away, fighting some mutons in a steel cage, a Frogger clone, and a Pac-Man clone. Finding these bonuses can also be a major pain in the ass because, again, the default camera is awful. Like, look here. Would you think there was anything above you? Not really, because your brain assumes that because the action is focused below, there's nothing important up top. But if you have the console command X free look toggle active, oh look, there's a hole up there, and a bonus letter. Using the free look command, you can see details that you never would normally, like rolling clouds, this Macy's parody sign, and fully made ceilings. Kinda strange putting this stuff in when nobody was meant to see it. Kinda seems like a waste of effort and resources, honestly. I mean, there's like a couple of texture hiccups here and there, but for the most part, the free looking looks fine. You know what doesn't work fine though? The music. Yeah, when I first played Enforcer, I legit thought this game didn't have a soundtrack, but a quick search on YouTube proved me wrong. This doesn't seem to be an issue with the GOG release, but it is present in the Steam release. I mean, I guess I'm not missing much. It's just a bunch of fast-paced, generic techno, but still. The rest of the sounds in the game work fine, though. It's mostly just droning ambiance, Dr. Standard yelling at you to find transporters, alien grunts, and gun shooting. Oh, and for some reason, Doc Standard gave the Enforcer the ability to shout one-liners like he's fucking Duke Nukem.
Eradication program. Automated annihilation. You have been enforced. Is that the best you can do? Get it while it's hot. Back off, space creeps.
Hello, I am the real Duke Nukem. Balls of steel, eat shit and die. I will take your head off and poop into your neck. I will play Patty Cake on your ass.
As I said before, you're mostly blowing up transporters and rescuing civilians, but here are some levels that change things up a bit. Mission 4 not only involves killing hundreds of aliens without even moving, it also features a boss fight against this thing, a giant Reaper. He's not that very tough. Mission 10 actually doesn't involve destroying transporters and has you killing aliens as a proper objective to reach their lair and kill 2 giant chrysalids. The mission after that, for some reason, has a top-down view when you're outside. This camera angle is somehow even worse than the default one because it legitimately hinders where you're going, and since this map is absolutely massive, you can't identify any potential landmarks. The one time the camera is altered, and it's to the game's detriment. Of course. Mission 14 takes place in a loose interpretation of the Getty Center in Los Angeles and involves a boss fight against these things called Cyber Beasts. Not gonna lie, it was pretty tough to get through. Mission 18 is yet another boss fight on top of a skyscraper called a Wargon. I don't know what a Wargon is, but I died like 3 times to this boss, so I'll give it that. After that, it mostly does away with the mostly flat level design and actually has environmental hazards in the form of falling off buildings. Also, word of advice, turn off the dodging feature in the settings because it is very easy for you to accidentally double tap a movement key and fall to your death. Mission 22 is a boss fight against this dude, Mondolus. He looks like something out of Quake. He's not very hard, just extremely bullet spongy. Mission 23 only has 4 transporters to deal with. Okay, easy enough to— oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, it introduces these bat things that carry grenade launchers. Can't say there weren't any surprises in store. Mission 26 is set on a runway and introduces sectopods. Yep, the mission after that, you have to protect these pilots as their plane gets chased by a UFO. In space, by the looks of it. How did this plane manage to take off? All the alien structures weren't even destroyed. Then again, this is apparently not even the same plane as before. That one was a regular passenger plane, this one looks like a sci-fi cargo ship. Anyways, after a series of missions in the Arctic and one final urban level, we get to the last 2 missions. It seems Dr. Standard was attacked while we were away, having located the mothership. And the reason he didn't just teleport Enforcer to the lab to protect him is because— shut up.
You've served me well, Enforcer. You've served Earth well. I've done all I can, but now it's time for one last mission.
Oh no, the good Dr. Standard is dead. I care so much for you. Anyways, time to go to the mothership, blow up some transporters, kill hundreds of aliens, and finally meet the big bad of the game, the High Ethereal.
Ah, we have a visitor. I smell the earth stink on you, mechanoid, and it disgusts me. I'll not have you interfering in my plans. I know not how you arrived here, but prepare to leave in pieces.
He is easily the spongiest and toughest enemy in the game. But with enough determination and skill, he's down for the count.
What? A being like myself defeated by this useless, brainless, man-made beast? How is this possible? Damn you, creature! You and your miserable planet! Damn you!
Oh, so we're dead, right? Oh, no, never mind. Enforcer's just barely clinging to life.
You've served me well, Enforcer. You've served Earth well.
Backup systems engaging. Recalibrating. Sensors active. Initiating repair program.
Oh, are you trying to set up a sequel? Oh, aren't you adorable? And that wraps up XCOM Enforcer. Is it a good XCOM game? Absolutely not. It has next to nothing to do with the franchise. But is it a good game on its own? Yeah, it's actually not bad. It's a bit too long and extremely mindless, but overall a pretty fun horde shooter. I have to admit, I have a bit of a soft spot for Enforcer. So much so that one of the sparks of my XCOM 2 playthrough I actually named N4SR. Get it? Enforcer. I even went as far as to mention whole Abel Standard and the backstory of him being a former XCOM scientist. Anyways, Enforcer might not be something you should go legitimately out of your way to play, but when it comes to games where you play as a one-bot army slaughtering thousands of aliens, you could do a hell of a lot worse.
Transporters,